You are listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Yellow Jacket. I'd like to give a big thanks to them for sending me one of their new UV leak detectors. Guys, if you guys haven't checked this thing out, you need to. This thing is the best leak detector on the market. You don't believe me? Try it. If you need me to, I'll prove it to you. But guys, remember, Yellow Jacket, 66 years of expertise built into every tool.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
If you're trying to take your HVAC game to the next level, then buckle your seatbelt, crank up the volume, and try not to be offended. Because you're listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast with Gil Kelley and Kelly McKay. Now, here's Gil and Kelley.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 26 of the HVAC Uncensored podcast, the podcast where we love, we laugh, we cry, we cuss. Boy, do we ever fucking cuss. But we try to give you guys tips and tricks and things to help you in this trade. We don't know it all, but we know a little, and we try to pass it on. I am yours truly, Mr. Gil Kelley, sitting along my good buddy, Mr. Kelly McKay. What is up, my friend?
26 episodes. We should be professionals by now.
Yeah, maybe at 126.
Yeah,
I still feel like a learning curve.
Definitely a learning curve. So I'm doing good, man. How are you been doing?
I'm good, man. Ever since my good news I had, work's picking up. You know, it's I'm good, man. I wouldn't say I'm happier than a pig in shit. It's like, I don't know about all that, but it's
pretty happy,
it's good.
So.
Yeah, you know, tax time's coming around, you know, and since I have a small army of kids, I normally always do good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pitch in to build a wall. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I know I'm probably going to owe a little bit on taxes, so we'll see how that all pans out. Not really worried about it just yet. We've been a little bit slow too. So now that's good to hear that you're picking up, that the weather's actually cooperating. We've been, I don't know, it comes and goes in waves. You know, it's supposed to be pretty cold over the weekend coming up, so I think that's going to spur some business for sure. The last time I looked, which was been a couple days, and I know how quickly that can change, but last time I looked, it was like a high of 4 degrees. So that should make the phones ring a little more. We're doing great because we sold a pretty big job that we're starting this week, some package units. 4 package unit installs, so on a commercial building. So I'm looking forward to that. Because of that job, I think we'll probably hit our goal, or we'll come really close to hitting our goal this month. So starting the year off right, definitely.
Yeah, that's always good. Yeah, we just had snow here. The kids were out of school. It's still out there, but it's almost gone. It's been dropping below freezing at night. It says it's 39 right now. But when I look at the week, it's like 35, 36, then it says 44, and then Monday's 19. So we're picking up. It's definitely not busy. It's kind of like you said, it's sprinkled in. But as long as it starts to get cold and stay cold, I think we'll be fine and everything will pick back up, because I won't lie, the year didn't start off very well. When you look at the total revenue that's come in, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But it's one of them things, you guys know, if you've been doing it for long enough, you don't panic. You gotta, you can't change it. You kind of just stick to your guns, keep doing what you're doing, and just make every call count, like we've said before. So that's what we've been trying to do. So we'll see how it goes, but it is getting better, so I can say that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the forecast now. Now we're showing 26 for the high on Saturday with a low of 13. Low of 19 on Friday, so that's pretty cold. Windy, but then we're mid 40 or upper 40s, so just kind of all over the place. Man, we just have not had that really cold snap this year. So that kind of sucks to start off the year, I would say, especially after such a great year last year. But that's just the business we're in. We just have to make the most out of every call, like you just said, and try to fill that schedule every day.
Yeah, and it gets tough. I mean, and me and Kelly know, because we have guys that, you got to rotate. Some guys are working, some guys aren't. So if you guys are one of the guys that maybe aren't getting as many hours as you'd like, I mean, it's frustrating. Trust me, I get it. You got bills to pay. But it's one of those things that there's really no way around it. Unless you do like refrigeration. I know some commercial companies are a little bit better with it. Residential companies, man, it's kind of hard to get around it because the fact that we're so reliant on the weather.
Yeah.
Like me and Kelly have said before, this summer was great. So that's when you need to take some of that loot and put it away, which these are things we've already said before, but hopefully it picks up for everybody. Hopefully you guys are busy and you're working and you're not getting those nothing for you today kind of deal.
And we've had some of that too. We've been rotating. We've had to. We just don't have a choice. There's not quite enough work to go around. We can't just got to protect the cash flow. It's all about the cash flow. So it just is what it is. It still hasn't been horrible for most of the guys, but I don't know. I wish there was a way around it. And the only way that I know around it is by adding services and then cross training. Having the guys. So we recently added plumbing. It's still brand new to us. We've done several plumbing calls already, and anyone who's willing to learn the plumbing side of it as well, they're obviously, once we build that department up, it's going to help level things off, I think, to a certain degree. I mean, it's not going to take it all away because we always have to have enough, we have to have enough people to run as many calls as when we're just either really busy or really steady. We have to have the manpower to do that, but any type of service you can add, it's a great thing. So it helps. So duct cleaning, if you're in the heating air conditioning business, I'm telling you, duct cleaning, there's just no reason to add it. Unless you're, and I'm not going to totally knock you, but if you're one of these stiffs that just does not believe in duct cleaning, and believe me, guys, for years and years, I didn't either. But I've just seen what this can do. We have a camera. It shows before and after pictures, and it's amazing how much cleaner it can be. And I'm sure you can imagine the kind of shit that we pull out of these ducts. I mean, some houses are just disgusting. So it really does make a difference. Helps them breathe cleaner air. So check into it at least if you're skeptical, because it's definitely worth it. It helps smooth your schedule out, and it's really it's a relatively small investment. So
yeah, and that's one of those things I agree that it's you don't hire somebody just for that.
No.
I would definitely have a machine and train your guys to do it, to fill
Absolutely.
in. Yeah, because I know one guy that he was making a killing off cleaning dryer vents, just because those are technically supposed to be cleaned every so often.
Right. It's like the number one reason for house fires.
Yeah, and he would throw it in, and he had a little thing where that, and then I've heard from a friend of mine who's an insurance agent that says one of the most trying to say it right. The biggest insurance claim is busted washing machine hoses. So he'd be in there cleaning the dryer vent and be like, well, hey, I can sell you these stainless steel braided washing machine hoses. And he's like, and they don't even have plumbing.
Yeah.
He's like, but of course we can change, hoses on a washing machine.
Absolutely.
He said, and it was just a little added upsell. And he said that the guy who was doing the cleanings is the one who came up with that. And he was like, boss, is that okay? And he was like, fuck, of course it's okay. I'm not going to tell you not to make money. And he said the guy's been knocking that shit out, creating work for himself. So that just shows you right there.
That's a good upsell for any plumber as well. But I never thought about it myself, doing it just on the HVAC side. But why not? we're more than capable.
Yeah, when you're in the basement and you're looking at the furnace,
Mhm.
and normally you're down there and the washer and dryer's over on the other side, and just walk over and just bring it up to the customer, be like, hey, we're doing this, this, and this, and put it on your ticket. I mean, keep a set on your truck. Tell your boss. I mean, this is obviously more for residential companies.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure your owner's not going to say no. I mean, you know how to turn water off. Obviously, look at it first. If they got some old shut off valves that look corroded, then maybe you don't want to get involved. Refer them to a plumber if you guys don't do plumbing. But if everything looks legit and it's just shutting the valves off, changing them, make sure they don't leak. And the only ones I would do would be the braided ones. Those things will never leak, or at least I've never seen
Right.
them. But yeah, it's easy money, man. That's what me and Kelly are always talking about. When you find ways to make money for yourself or the company, there's things you can do that don't. I mean, I'm not saying go offer to build them a fucking deck. I mean, don't go too far out of the spectrum, but small things like that. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Hey, if you've built 6 decks over the last 3 years for buddies and yourself and your relatives, and you're good at it, why not? Know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that can fill the schedule. You might not be able to always do them, when you get busy, when you got to go make the picking the low hanging fruit when it's 110 degrees outside. You don't want to put those calls off, because that's your ultimate, the biggest source of income for your company. But, we've been doing some remodel work in our office, and I've got one of my young guys he's had some help a couple of times, but he's led that project pretty much by himself, and he's just doing a killer job. And it's giving him work, and it's something that we needed done anyways. So it looks awesome.
Nice. That's good. I meant to ask you about your plumbing. I remember you telling me you were doing that. I forgot about it. So I'm glad that started and is doing good.
Doing okay. Not too bad. I haven't even marketed to my customers yet. I waited a week before I actually even posted anything on Facebook. So the last 2 days or 3 days, 2 out of the 3 days I've had something that said, hey, we now do plumbing. But I need to do a voice shot, which is just a recorded phone call, and send that to all my customers. And then, I really should do a mailer. I'm probably going to hang on to the cash at the moment. I mean, I could. Just want to make smart marketing decisions this year, because I just don't feel like I've made good ones over the last couple of years. So.
Yeah. Well, the guy that I was telling you that I listened to his podcast, and guys, another podcast, it's unrelated to the trade, but it's called the Steve Freeman podcast. The guy's like a platinum recording artist, songwriter. He's written for all kind of people. I was telling Kelly before this, I got to talk to him, and it's been really cool. But he also has a business that's what they do. He helps businesses grow their business and stuff like that. And we've all known that social media marketing is huge, but he says if your business is not using social media marketer and you're going radio, TV, he's like you're going in the wrong way. He's like, if you're not using social media, he's like, you're irrelevant. He's like, he started giving numbers, like statistics, where he says customers make most of their buying decisions from their phone. He said it's statistics prove it. He said that they make their decisions within the ads they see on their phone, and normally within the first 45 minutes when they wake up is going to determine their buying habits for that day. He said there's all kind of statistics to prove it, just to show how powerful social media is. I know we've talked about this before, but I just thought of that and figured I'd say it.
I'll throw something on top of that, which is, I know last week I talked about Billy Jean as marketing. That guy who's, we talked about how you want to entertain and educate and execute. Those are the 3 top things to do. He's built his entire business on social media, primarily Facebook. And Facebook, he also says, for one thing, it's pretty clear that social media is not a fad. It's not going away. It's going to be here for forever. Like, unless I don't know what could replace it at this point. And Facebook in particular is definitely not going anywhere because they hold something near and dear that's got your emotions tied to it, which is our memories. You know, every other day I get a post that said, 3 years ago, and it shows a memory. And so that's powerful. That's tapping into your emotions. And so Facebook's here to stay. And it's going to be, although I know Instagram is huge right now, everybody I know who is anyone that's a little older is not spending near the amount of time on Instagram unless they're just focusing on building that page. Facebook seems to be the dominant platform still. I'm not saying that something else won't come out that's going to take over, but you gotta be marketing. It's free for one thing. You can post stuff daily and educate your customers, inform them. Then once in a while, throw in a post about a special that you're running or a contest that you're running. Whatever it is, that stuff's free. And I don't care if 50 people see my post or 400 people see my post. The bottom line is people are seeing my post every day. So it's so important.
Yeah, well, another thing that he said is, you're right, that stuff is free, but sometimes I'm pretty sure you have a page and you see it where you'll see where it says, hey, promote your page, we'll give you a $15 credit. Like, I get it for the podcast page all the time.
Oh, yeah.
He says, don't do that. He says, he says, go to the ad manager in Facebook, write a legitimate ad, and you can pay maybe $15 and it'll go to 100,000 people or something like that. He said Facebook's return, I think he said it's like 1 to 3%, but he said what people don't realize is Instagram is like 3 to 6%. As far as something like that. He said, so Instagram is actually a hot ticket thing that a lot of people aren't using. He's like, so for a business, you should be trying to hit both of them as far as your return on your advertising.
Sure.
And I've really thought about it between work and what we do here for the podcast about maybe taking one of these social media courses, because I think there's a lot more to it. And
there is. I know a little bit about it. But the thing is that their platforms change all the time. They're always adding new stuff or taking stuff away. So I'm not even sure if the course that I purchased is up to speed, but according to the course that I bought, they say you don't want to boost posts. Like, there's always that boost this post, on if you have a particular post that's doing well and people are engaging. They say that you want to go into Ads Manager. Now, you build a post, you post it, but then you go into Ads Manager, and then that's where you turn it into an ad. And I've learned all that, and I've done it that way. I think the primary reason for that is because you can specifically pick where your ad shows up. Okay, so when you post an ad on Facebook, it's going to post it wherever it wants. So you may only want your ad coming up in the main feed, but they're going to take your marketing dollars and they're going to put it over on the side, or they're going to insert it into a video clip that somebody watches, or they're going, they choose where it goes. So you actually have some control over that. And you also can narrow down your target market to a smaller radius when you're in the Ads Manager. But it's kind of confusing. So I'm sure there's plenty of videos on YouTube, and I don't know if I would purchase I'd try to find the latest, greatest videos on YouTube before I would purchase, because I did purchase it, but I'm telling you, things have changed already since I purchased that program in Facebook.
Yeah, it's constantly changing. I agree. It's one of them things where it's just technology is constantly changing, and they're constantly trying to make things different and different. I mean, I think if one of those classes and you can learn the foundation, I mean, you're going to have to learn that part of it regardless. True. But you think about it just like our trade. You got to constantly be learning because equipment is changing, technology is getting better. We got inverters and all this other stuff. It's the same thing, but this is probably happening at a lot faster rate, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know how many
Well, doesn't
updates? There's always updates going on, and so every time there's an update, there's probably something that's changed, and sometimes it's with the marketing side of it. So best to have the latest greatest information so you get the most out of the money you spend. I've boosted posts and I've done it the other way as well. I don't really see a difference in my engagement and how many views, how many people saw it. But hey, you want 10,000 people to see your deal. It might cost you $50 and 10,000 people that ad's going to be shown to. Like, you cannot get that kind of exposure through any other source for so little money.
No, I agree. And I was going to chime in and say, doesn't Facebook own Instagram?
Yes, they're directly. So a lot of times it will, when you post something, I think there's even an option where you can actually make sure that it goes to Instagram as well. I need to learn Instagram. I'm not sure about it. Like, I have an account, but I don't know how to make, and it's like a business account, but how do I make just a personal account? I don't know how to add another account. Like I have, like with Facebook, I can have as many business pages as I want, and I can call those my groups, whatever. I can call them whatever I want and just keep adding. Where Instagram, I've searched that entire app and I don't know where you can, like, I'm going to have to YouTube it. YouTube's the answer.
Yeah, and there's definitely a video. I've gotten better with it, and I've been trying to build up the pod. Like, I don't have a personal Instagram. I just have the one for the podcast. I've been trying to build that up because it really is two different platforms. Just because people have to follow you on Instagram. So obviously people are interested in what you're doing. And if they don't, then they stop following you. Whereas Facebook, you have these little groups and these cliques and different things, and you're friends with a million people. It's so it is a little different. I definitely found out that Instagram doesn't have the harshness, the babiness, so to say, as Facebook does, as far as like trying to babysit grown men. But I think they both serve their purpose. But yeah, I'm trying to build up the Instagram. I do notice when I post stuff on Instagram that I can have it go on Facebook as well, but I haven't seen where I can put it on Facebook
and have it go to Instagram
and then put it on Instagram.
Yeah,
there could be a way.
I'm not sure. I know that I've seen it when I'm like, I don't know if maybe it's on a business page too. I'm just not sure. But I know one way or another you can do it. But I've also heard that you kind of want different,
we'll get
different
it figured out.
content, even, between the two. I'm not sure that it serves you well to have the same content on both.
Well, I think sometimes because you can be hitting two different. Like, I got some people. It's surprising that unless their names are just totally off, that some people have been turned off from Facebook, especially now with the strict. If you say, I know they're putting people in Facebook jail like crazy, because I have guys hit me up all the time, and I'm like, hey, that's not us, man. That's Facebook doing that. Where you don't have that kind of shit on Instagram. And there's a lot of people who are following the podcast on Instagram that I've looked them up, and they're not in the Facebook group. So
yeah,
that's why sometimes I'll share that post and see it both ways. And if some guys gets redundant, it's fine. I mean, if there's a quarter of the people that aren't on Facebook that see it, then I figure what the hell, it's worth it,
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. But all right, my friend, you ready to go make money?
Let's make some money.
All right, well, let's do the damn thing.
Now, here's Go Make Money with Kelly McKay.
What's up? So, I have made just about every mistake in the book, and I continue to make mistakes in my business. And so I wanted to share just a few. I got a short list here of maybe some mistakes that I've made, that some of them are kind of given, and you've probably heard it before. Some you probably haven't. So, and I'm not going to say some of the obvious ones, like, I may reference it, like, for instance, not charging enough. That's a big one. You've heard that. We've said it over and over again. But it's something that I still see a lot of pain going on with different people posting stuff in the Facebook group and in other Facebook groups. And I can tell you you're probably not charging enough. So there, I said it once again. But number one on my list, which this is not in any particular order, but adding expenses without increasing our hourly rate. I have made this mistake time and time and time again. We raise our rates, we do pretty good. We actually start seeing revenue increases, profit increases, and then I try something new and I fail to raise the rates again to cover that cost. So if this is something that you found yourself in this trap, or you need to get your expenses in check, this time last year, I went through all of my expenses and I just started cutting shit out. And it made a world of difference to me for the whole year, the year as a whole in 2018. Like, what do I have to have? What do I not have to have? Cut the shit out that I don't have to have. Keep it in check. Not compensating myself or coworkers enough. So, we know how hard it is to do our jobs, how physically demanding, how stressful it is, and so we need to be paid for it. And I'm still guilty of this a little bit. I would like to be paid even more, but I recently went through and raised my rates again because I want to raise my salary, and I want everyone else's salary to be raised as well. So, but I'm telling you guys, I had this conversation a while back with a young man, and it is a different world. Like, all you business owners out there, that what used to be a lot of money to you, and that you worked for so little for so many years through your career, the times have changed. Like, I've got guys, and I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but I've got guys that have been with me for 3 years that are making $5 an hour more than I was after 12 years. And that's because times have changed, period. And it's also has a lot to do with the shortage of help in our industry. So bump your prices up if you have to, give people raises. This is how you keep good people. I've just come to the realization that I want to be the best company to work for in my area. I'm going to have to pay people high wages to do that. Number 3, holding on to people who are not the right fit for too long. This is a big one. We've all done it. We're all scared to let somebody go because, how can I do it without them? It's going to be more work for me, and I'm already maxed out. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you got any other team members, they're going to step up and they're going to thank you and be happy that these people are gone and they're not weighing you down anymore. And that opens the possibility for you to find someone else who might be the right fit. So stop doing it. Let somebody go. Now's the time. If you get slow, just let them go if they're not a right fit for you and your company. Hiring the wrong partners to work with on my company. So, for instance,
Been there, done that.
And this is what I'm talking about, and I hope you're talking about the same thing, Gil, here, is like, just, it could be your equipment distributor. It could be like, for instance, there's one program that is a decent program for collecting reviews, but what they're really great at is collecting reviews on their site. They don't push the reviews to Google. Like, they're not even, I'm have to assume that they're not, and it's all automatic, so you don't actually see the reviews being sent out. You wind up collecting a bunch of reviews because it's automatic and you don't have to even fuck with it, but it's going to their platform instead of a platform that actually you can build off of and get noticed off of. So is that really helping you out is the question. So I've made this mistake, and I had like 120 reviews on this platform, and when I canceled them, I went through and printed all those damn reviews because I didn't want to lose them. but they're worthless to me in that platform. They're not out there I'm not getting any exposure for them. Search engine marketing. I've dumped a bunch of money into that, and I'm telling you, if they're not the right company that watches that stuff, your money's going to go to waste. So when I first started, I started with our ream supplier here in town, and I wasn't charging enough, so I wound up in the hole with them, like $12,000. And then at about that same time, I was like really struggling for money. About that same time, I learned that I needed to increase my prices, so I did. But when I was giving them $1,000 a month while I was learning this stuff, and it was only for 2 months, they turned me over to collections without even saying a word to me. And I know they're still kicking themselves in the ass right now to this day because they don't have my business, because I'm doing $500,000 with my new partners who do want me to make sure that I'm successful in business instead of letting me drown. So be wary. If you're struggling in your business, go talk to your distributor and get some help from them. If you don't succeed, they don't succeed. That's the bottom line. Don't let them push you around and treat you like shit because you're struggling. Have them help you. That's what they're there for. I know this is long-winded, Gil, but I'm almost done. So delegating. And this delegating, I just want to say one thing, which is, and think about this. Who else can help with this? Ask yourself that question. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Who else can help with this? You don't have to do it all. Number 6 is lacking confidence. Confidence to charge more. Confidence to add services. Confidence to hire a coach. If you don't have a business coach, I'm telling you, go get one. Stop pussyfooting around. Go out there and get one, because if you're not doing everything you want to do in your business, there's people out there who have done it, and they can help you get to your goals much faster than you trying to learn on your own. So that's a big mistake, not hiring a coach. Once you fix your pricing, you'll be able to afford a coach. Trust me. So number 8, not investing in myself, which could go to coaching. Hiring a coach is an investment in you and your company and your people and your wife or your husband and your kids. It's an investment in everybody. So if you're struggling in the business, do that. Not having a line of credit is a big mistake. I hope back when I told everybody middle of summer, now's the time to go get a line of credit. That way, when business does slow down, you don't freak out like Gil was saying earlier, because it does slow down, and you don't run out of cash. If you need to draw on that line of credit, it's there. Number 10 is not learning more about leadership and communication. Leadership is communication, and it's also about community. And I won't say much more about that. I could go deep into that. But, and my last one is not tracking my marketing. And everybody that I talk to about marketing, they say, oh, well, we ask every person that calls in, where'd you hear about us? Okay, well, let me tell you something. They're always going to say, oh, well, I found you online. Or, for the most part, that's what they're going to say. But what you don't understand is it was, they heard your radio ad. They drove past your billboard. Then they got a direct mail piece 3 weeks ago. And that's actually what prompted them to actually call you. But it took them 3 weeks. And then when they call you, you were already on their list. They didn't have the mailer in front of them, so they looked you up online, and that's the answer you get. That's not tracking your marketing. You really, truly don't know where that call came from. So you can't just leave it to chance and just by somebody asking that question. And that's what I'm going to focus on this year for my business is targeting in on my marketing so that I know where the return on investment's actually coming from. And I know it's kind of a difficult thing to do, but I'm going to figure it out. So that's all I got, Gil. Sorry, I know that was long-winded. I'm sure you got some input on some of that stuff. What do you say?
Hey, remember me? Just kidding. No, man, that was good stuff. Hold on, sorry, I'm having some
Technological
microphone
difficulties.
issue. Yeah, microphone's starting to sound like I'm trapped in a well. What in the hell? Hold on. All right, there we go. Yeah, no, I when it comes to the marketing stuff, I've heard people because I've always wondered because we do that. The girls always ask, "How'd you hear about us?" But I agree, it's hard to track it that way. Some people have said that you offer, different specials for different ways of marketing, is a way to track it. But I still think that is even hard. I don't know how to actually like
Yeah.
lock it down to be able to keep the numbers. I mean, I love to know how. I haven't been able to figure it out because I agree with what you're saying. 90% of the people they'll say some people will say like Groupon or something, but I would say at least half of them say online or Google or something to
Well,
do
I
with
know
the
one
internet.
thing is just phone numbers for one thing. So, like, I have a specific now, I didn't used to, but now I have a specific, and I'm not doing mailers every single month. Now, may I eventually get to that point? Sure. But anytime I do a mailer, there's probably a little bit of space in between when I'm doing a mailer. So there's a specific phone number on that mailer. And if I get a phone call from it, I know where that call came from because that's my direct mail phone number, if that makes sense.
No, that does make sense. One thing that has helped us that we started doing is we tell the guys every call you're at to get email. And we've been doing almost like that constant contact to keep in touch with our
Excellent.
customers. And then we offer specials. Yeah, we offer specials like referral bonuses. Like if somebody calls in and says, "Hey, I was given your number by Mrs. Jones. She's one of your existing customers and blah blah blah." As long as they mention that, they'll document it and they'll put that note into the other people's account. And then when we go out to give them service next time, "Hey, thank you for sending, Mrs. Williams over to us. We just want to let you know that we're going to take 15% off of today." Or I'm making that up, but I'm just saying we're adding things in like that to just to help people from referring. And so far it's still in its infantile stages, but so far it's been
I
working really
just
well.
recently started that. It's referral reward certificates. So we have a really good customer, and for instance, they're just the exact type of customer we want. They didn't complain about the price. They were really nice people, friendly people to work with. Appreciated us. We appreciate them. So basically, I'm sending them a referral reward certificate, which just I give a percentage of the call the money they spent with us, excluding maintenance agreements. I give a percentage of the money back, not just in a check. I give it with a certificate, and then they can either give that to a friend, or they can redeem it for the full amount towards any services, other than maintenance. Or they can hang on to it and use it for themselves for any product or service that we provide, or they can cash it in. And if they want cash for it, then I'm giving 5% back, but it's just up to them. But it's just one more time to reach out to them and touch them. I think it builds some goodwill with them. I think it's a really great thing. It's new. I've probably sent out about $1,000 in referral certificates, and I sent one out towards the end of December, and I've not seen any come back yet. And I think that's a good thing. I think that they're hanging on to it either to give to a friend, or maybe the next time, they're like, "Hey, I may need something else from these guys, so I'm going to hang on to this and use it for the next service." But man, I tell you what, Gil, your company just continues to impress me, man. You guys got some shit together for sure.
Thank you, man. My owner he's a very smart man, and to be honest, some of these ideas are mine. That
Uh huh.
I build off of. He is very good about he's all for, obviously he wants to, he spent 25, 30 years building this business. So he's open for ideas, but sometimes it's good that I'll have a little baby idea and then he'll turn it into, oh, well, do this, this, and this. Because he just has that business savvy, that smartness. So it's definitely a team effort, but yeah, it's been pretty good. I mean, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. But we've had
I forgot to say
I
go
forgot what I
make
was gonna
money
say.
at the end of my segment. So go make money, fuckers.
Yeah, go make money. Well, hold on. Well, fine then. We're gonna hop out of yours and go into.
Now time to say what with Gil Kelley.
Alrighty, guys. But a couple of things that I want to talk about real fast is, you remember, and I meant to do this last week and forgot. You remember the conversation we had about utility companies and being able to, the monopoly of how they service
Trying
systems
to
and
make
shit
my
like that.
blood boil here or what?
No, but I got a
Okay.
good email, and this guy is local. I'm not going to say his name only because he didn't say about being on the podcast. So I'm going to read it. I'm not going to give his name, and I'm going to have to take some out because he says names, and he's actually a Maryland guy, but he hits so many things on the head. He's one of the people who worked for the company that I was complaining
this
about.
sounds juicy.
So, yeah. So listen to the podcast this week. Your utility company and issue is BS. We deal with them here in Southern PA. Hold on. Is this the same guy? Hold on. There's shit. This is one, but this is not the one we were talking about. Damn it. This is the one I'm thinking about. I'll read this one. Anyway. Damn it. Now I got to find the other one because that's the one that's juicy. Hold on 2 seconds because I think it might be in my Facebook Messenger because that's the one that the guy gets into it, and I'm reading that and like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, you son of a bitch. Where is it? See this? Yeah. Ding ding dong, kiss my ass and suck my schlong. Oh, there we go. I had to get into the podcast one. Where is he? Okay, I'm in here. Let me find it. Nope, not that guy. It's hard between these when I have the one for like my personal one, and then I have the one for the podcast. No, hold on.
Is it in Pages?
Sorry,
is it in Pages, like the app Pages? Or is it actually in Messenger?
No. I think it's actually in Messenger. He's hold on. It's one of these ones right here. Yeah, okay, I got it. Okay. Hey, I just listened to the last podcast. I worked for blah blah blah. The company that I'm talking about. I don't know much about how they're able to do some of the things that they do, but I can tell you some things. So customers used to be able to pay for an install or service and add it to their utility bill. That ended probably 9 or 10 years ago. They recently are able to add the cost of a service policy to their utility bill. I gotta make sure I don't say their name. The way things have been, it's pretty evident that if you read this company's Facebook reviews, I think the company grew so big so fast that they can't keep up with all the policy customers they have. Our service techs are severely overworked, and they have probably a dozen really good techs, have lost over a dozen really good techs in the past year alone. With that, they are left with these new generation of guys who have no skill, motivation, or ambition. On our install side, which is the side that I am on, we have lost a number of good guys. In the summer, they bring in interns that know nothing and split up normal crews, pair them up with an intern and maybe a service apprentice to get more jobs out. We have some top-notch installers, but we also have an equal number of guys who just slap shit in. They don't know the direction that the company is going, but it's all good. Guys that lost the remaining good techs and installers are looking to leave as well, mostly going to commercial companies. The reputation and quality is going downhill, and being under uh, the the big corporation who owns
Mm-hmm.
them is what he says. Um, we have to follow their safety guidelines, which is a pain in the ass. I tell you, I'll tell you anything else you want to know. I'm a team leader and supervisor. I know a little bit of the inside and out too. I know that they get around things by setting up corporate. What does he say? By setting up small LLC companies is how they get around it. We have learned from some of our bosses who have told us, even though our name is incorporated in the utility company, and we do some of the things we do, the fact that they list it as a separate company, as an LLC, is what makes them able to offer the services and provide the services that they do. And then he just says, if you would like me to go into any more detail, please give me a call. So,
Complete
um,
bullshit. It's
yeah. And
exactly what we thought it was.
yeah, that's how they get around it, is how they um they know the business aspects around it, but it's all the money's going back to the same person's pocket.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but now I feel bad, so I'm going to read this other guy's email real fast since I started it. um Listen to the podcast this week. The utility company issue is BS. We deal with this in Southern PA. He said, like I was telling Gil, but he doesn't realize I'm the one he's sending the email to. The biggest issue is watering down our market. I don't mind so I don't mind as much of them getting the business if they were fairly outselling me. That's fine. I need to step up my game then. The issue is they are taking a Train heat pump system and selling it for $5,000. It's taking a name like Train and bringing it down into Goodman and other cheaper brands. They also have brands like AirTemp and Goodman who get a shitty image. When you have guys rushing to install the products and doing it for dirt cheap, my fear is that with this and the cheap install prices, it brings down the overall value of our Carrier, Train, and Lennox / upper end products. All of this brings me to my next point. We have several run-ins with blank blank. This is
Yeah.
another guy that's in my area, out of Maryland. Gil, I believe this is whom you were referring to in the latest podcast. Yes, it was. We were getting crushed by them by thousands. So my first thing was, we must be paying more for the equipment. I reached out to my local supplier. I won't say that company's name either. He assured me that we were not getting a bad deal with them. So I let it go and we continued to go about our summer. About 2 months later, we had a run in with another company in our local area, and we were $1,500 more than them. So I now began to wonder if we were paying too much for our Train equipment. I reached out to another supplier and expressed my interest in American Standard. We received a price book, and these systems, on an average, were $700 cheaper for the same product. Now I know that Train gets all the marketing dollars, so on and so forth. But we were losing to other dealers because of it. I contacted the other
Yeah.
supply house with the price, and they have been matched. With all that being said, with all that being said, have you all ever had situations like this or inquired about it? We fly the Train flag and we fly it proud, selling variable speed systems whenever possible. You better take that
Whatever.
flag down. Just kidding. So I know what the issue was. My other question is, maybe you have covered it. Do you allow your employees into supply houses to pick? Oh, he's going into other questions he was asking me. But that was his comment. So thank you both for your comment. I won't say your names because I didn't confirm it with you. And if I don't ask you if I can say your name, then I choose not to. But yeah, that's That shit's nuts. One thing real fast before I forget, because I will forget. We've been running into an issue. Do you guys, it's getting big here where people are saying that the diagnostic will be able to like go into the repair. We have never done that. Um, we've had people call in here lately, and the owner's been thinking about it because obviously when it's slower, you don't want to pass up on any work. I am not a fan of it because, well, during the week, normal business hours, maybe because the diagnostic is not hard to hide into the price. Because we all know you're not doing it for free. You're not just going out there for nothing. You're hiding it into the cost of the repair. But I tried it on a weekend one time, and it worked miserably. And I'll be honest what our prices are. Normally, we charge $95 for a diagnostic Monday through Friday, normal hours, and then it's $149 overtime. We have $30 off coupons, so it makes it like $65 and $119. We don't always tell people about that coupon. If somebody calls in and says, "Hey, my furnace is broke, I need to set up an appointment," then we set the appointment up. That's that. If they say, "How much do you charge?" then we bring up the coupon because obviously there's people are shopping around. But I just wanted to know your opinion on this whole applying the diagnostic to the cost of the repair. I mean, what do you think about
I
that?
think that the diagnostic is something you can play with. So it's strictly a case of you. I don't know if we've ever dove into this before, Gil, but the importance of every single phone call that comes into the business. According to Tommy Mello, he wrote the book, The Home Service Experts, and he runs A1 Garage Door and has a podcast. And according to him, the booking percentage of most companies is like no better than 65%. And I think he thinks it's even lower. Like, I want to say maybe even 45%. And what I mean by that is when somebody calls in and says, "Hey, I've no heat, and when can you come out?" Well, if you say, "Well, it's going to be a couple days, we can run some space heaters out to you until we can get to you," or whatever the case. I'm just saying, summer's a better way to explain it when you're just so busy and you're a week out from actually getting to somebody. When if you have to put them off and they're like, "Okay, let me call someone else, I'll call you back." Well, you didn't book that call. So I think we tend to think that we're doing really good in the booking arena, like booking calls, everyone that comes in, but you're really not thinking about all the ones that when somebody calls in where you're not actually booking the call because of whatever reason, whether it was, "Oh, that's $99 to come out, Gil. That's kind of steep. Let me, seems like last time I paid $50 for the company I had out. Let me call you back." And then they never call back. And you didn't even think, you didn't give that call a second thought. And I think that's a problem because every call that comes into the business is precious. Like, you got to treat it like gold because what is that worth to you? What did you have to spend in marketing dollars to make that phone ring? You've got to start approaching the phones this way. I've only learned this year. It's something I didn't give much thought to. But the diagnostic is something you can play with. So if you find that you're getting a bunch of people that are like, "I don't want to pay that," and then they call someone else and you don't book the call, well, by all means drop it, because especially when you're slower, why not drop the diagnostic fee in order to up your booking percentage? Because in reality, we should be booking 95% of every call that comes in. Now, and think about that. Like, that's not happening in most businesses. If there's no training involved and no tracking involved, you can sit there and lie to yourself and tell yourself that, "Oh, we're great on the phones all day long." But if you really dig into it and listen to every call that comes in, think about the last summer when you're, busy as shit. Like, how many people did you wind up putting off because you weren't able to book the call? Or you didn't handle it properly? Even though you couldn't get there for 3 days, the next person they called couldn't get there for 3 days, but they had uh, um, a process in place to able to capture that customer anyways and get them on the schedule. Because there really are things that you can do, and we're starting to learn this right now because our good buddy Texas, he he hired Power Selling Pros, which is just it's a phone training program, so you can capture as many people as possible. And so I've signed up recently for that, and I can tell you there's been a couple of times where it's worked already, and we're barely into it. So really consider every phone call to be precious, but play with that diagnostic fee, because what's your average ticket when you actually do make it out there, Gil? Roughly.
I mean, well, we haven't done it that
Well,
much.
I mean, just a service call.
But
When you go to a service call, your average ticket's probably somewhere between 400 and 600, right? Okay, so
yes.
if you don't book the call because they get scared because of this $150 service rate versus maybe a $99 service rate on the weekend, you just lost a potential $400 service ticket. And you just have to start approaching it that way. And I've really only learned this in the last 3-4 months, and we've really started taking it seriously, and that's why we went ahead and signed on with them to do the online training course. And they're going to call us in a couple weeks, and I might go a step further with them as well. But yeah, play with it. If you're not getting the booking, like not booking the calls when they come in, well, drop it. I wouldn't say completely get rid of it, and I'm kind of against completely wiping it out of there if they go with the repair, because there's nothing, you've booked the call and you've already showed up, the service expert has shown up, like they're expecting to pay that. There's really no reason to waive it. But
Yeah.
if your pricing is structured properly, you could still waive it and still come out just fine. But you have to have your pricing, like you better add $50 to every single call, or whatever, your $99 fee, you better have it added into every call. So if you haven't considered that and you're waiving the diagnostic fee every time, not you guys, Gil, but anyone else listening, like you better start adding that into the call, because you deserve that revenue. There's no reason for you to waive it.
Yeah, I mean, everything's got to be accounted for, and that's what we thought. That's the dilemma we're having now is, should we just change our prices across the board? I think now we're just going to do it on a case-by-case basis. Granted, it's became more prevalent here lately, especially now that it's been slower. But I agree with you. I think I had a couple of bad instances, but I think overall it would average out into our favor, the numbers. My owner always says that it's $300 every time the phone rings. And he has been huge on the phone. So that's always been. So I want to get the information of what you're talking about, because he might be interested in that, because he has always been huge on when the phone rings, being able to capture that call. So I do agree that we need to do what we have to do to get them. I know there's been times we do pretty good job in the summertime of not having those long waits. I mean, obviously, what it. Sometimes you can't help it when you're booming, especially like past summer. And we would offer people, oh, hey, well, we can't get out. It's Monday. Well, we can't get out there until Thursday between 8 and 12. But if you want to go ahead and book it, our diagnostic is normally $95. We'll go ahead and waive that diagnostic.
Okay,
for you.
so
Just to get those people booked. But that's the only time we would ever do that. But I won't lie, that would be marked on the ticket. And if you go out there, you're trying to hide. We always said at least 60% of that diagnostic back into the cost. So maybe you can't put the whole $95 back in, but if you can put 40 or 50 back in there somewhere, we're good with it. If you go out there and it's already $1,500 worth of repairs, then don't worry about it. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But what happens if you go out there and you do like a capacitor or something? You can't charge.
I'm going to hit you with some crazy knowledge when it comes to this, and this is something that I want to improve this year, and I totally understand it. But back to booking the calls. So I've recently learned this too over just the last 6 months is like prioritizing your calls. So, for instance, if somebody calls in and they've got a, that's why it's so important to ask questions over the phone, because what you tell me how to generate the biggest revenue from these two calls. Like what's going to be your best bet, Gil? Somebody calls in and you say, "Okay, Mrs. Jones, well, I do have some schedule. I've got some time for Tuesday, so let's look on our schedule together here and let's see if we can pinpoint a time that works best for you." Now, how old is your, or I guess before you got to that point, you'd be like, you ask some questions. It's just like when we go into a service call and we ask questions. We don't know that the homeowner has allergies. We don't know that the homeowner has a hot or cold spot. We don't know that there's, that it runs nonstop during the summer. We may not know these things without asking some questions, right? Is that fair enough? So it's kind of the same on
Yeah,
the
definitely.
phone. And once again, I'm talking here. We have not implemented this yet, but I can see us going to this during super busy times. During super busy times, if they're not a current customer that's in your database or they own a maintenance agreement, when they call in, if they if you ask them a couple of key questions like how old is your system, tell me this. This is where what ultimately I was getting to. If you have Mrs. Jones call in and she says, it's 3 years old. I had it installed by another company just a couple years ago, and it's worked great up until this week, and they can't get to it. Because I asked the question, she's offering all this information. Let's pretend. But they can't get to it till it's going to be 2 weeks. What they told me. I just wanted to see if you guys could get here quicker. Okay, that's great. Well, then Mrs. Smith calls in, and maybe you book Mrs. Jones because you do have more time. You're not quite as busy as that big company, but you book her for 2 days out instead of 2 weeks out. Then Mrs. Smith calls in, and your first opening is going to be where you booked Mrs. Jones, and Mrs. Smith says, "Hey, my system's like 21 years old. I know it's kind of on its last leg. I was hoping to just get through summer, one more summer. When could you guys come out to look at it?" Which call has the potential to make the most revenue? Without
Well, yeah,
question.
obviously
So,
the
doesn't
last
it make
one.
sense to ask these questions? Because now that is a priority call. Like, I would push Mrs. Jones out and say, call her back and say, "Mrs. Jones, we had an emergency come in. At least reschedule her once and go ahead and go do Mrs. Smith's call, because if Mrs. Smith needs a new system, chances are she does need a new system." Well, here's an opportunity to gain way more revenue strictly by monitoring the calls and categorizing them as they come in. Which that was like, that blew my mind when I learned this, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, how much money are we losing by not prioritizing our calls? Us being in the service industry, we're always like, just get to the people as they come in. But how much revenue are we losing? How much room for growth are we losing because we go do the 3-year-old system, and now the next opening is 4 days away, and so you put Mrs. Smith, who has a 21-year-old system, 4 days out instead of the two where you had a slot in the 2 day. So it's all about categorizing those calls to maximize your calls.
No, that I mean that makes perfect sense because I told you that I initiated the thing where we prioritize after the fact the
Yes, like
calls. Like, well, that would be calls we have to go back to, but that makes perfect sense. Trying to prioritize, Jesus Christ, prioritize them as they come in. Um, that's good, and I'm going to talk to the owner because we need to do
that
something as far as
that's during the
being
summer.
being getting
I
better on
mean,
the
right
phones.
now, do every call that comes in as fast as you can, but because you have time, typically. It might get a little hectic when we get some crazy cold front that comes through, but most of the time we have time to get to those. But we are not to the point of where we're categorizing, but we do have times where one day is completely full and it's cold and we just can't, like, it doesn't make sense to get to this person today because we've already promised this and we got these two installs going and we got this and this, so it needs to be tomorrow. And we could do that first thing in the morning, but that person may want to go shop and find somebody else. So what you said, here's another thought that I've had for next summer that I may possibly do, or at least test, which is, instead of, you were talking about booking somebody a couple days out or something and actually booking the call, but take it a step further, because we all know, we've all been in this industry long enough, or most of us have, that what happens is when you book somebody that far out, then the day that you get that call, you're ready to head that way. You give them a call, and what's the answer you get? Yep.
Oh,
Well, thanks
somebody
for
already
calling
came
me and letting
out.
me know, bitch. No, but you get what I'm saying. It's like that happens all the time. So it's one of those things that I'm thinking during the summer when it's crazy busy to actually take a non refundable deposit in order to book you on the schedule. Make it very clear to them. I'm going to book you on the schedule. Mrs. Smith, we have a lot of cancellations this time of year because people search and find somebody else. So in order to prevent that, because that just messes our schedule up, and then we wind up putting people off that we could have gotten to. So just to make sure you're not going to cancel on me. And this is also like pre-qualifying the customer, right? Like, you're pre-qualifying them. You're making sure that they're committed to having you come out to, and they're going to stop. They're going to get off the phone and not call somebody else as soon as you hang up. Like, say, I have a $25, even it doesn't have to be much, but why not do a $25 booking fee? I can take that payment right here over the phone. That ensures that we're going to be there this Thursday, and it ensures that you're not going to cancel on us. I don't know what the wording is for this. I don't want to say negative things like get the thought of them canceling in their mind, because maybe it wasn't on their mind. I'm just saying that we would have far less cancellations if they were already committed to us by putting some type of a down payment down. So maybe it's your service fee. Like, we go ahead and take the service fee. We have a diagnostic fee. After you explain the value of what the expert's going to do when he gets out there, you explain the value first. And for that $99, we do all of those things. Because we're so busy and we're so booked, Mrs. Smith, I need to go ahead and take that payment now. That ensures that you're not going to reschedule on us, because our time is so important. We want to get to as many clients as possible. So, and I don't want I don't want to have to bump you or move you. And, so if you collect the money, then you probably wouldn't want to reschedule them, obviously. But it's a way to keep cancellations from happening, I believe, because they're already committed, or they're going to lose their $99 that they paid you.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, I like the idea you're saying, because you could say something, be like, if it's Monday, hey, ma'am, our earliest available appointment is going to be, Monday or Thursday between 8 and 12. We do have, if you'd like to lock in that spot, you can prepay the diagnostic fee for coming out. And what that also does is, if that puts you first in line for if any openings coming up earlier, we would give you a call first, to offer those openings to you. Something like that. Just try to keep adding bonuses, onto
You could
it.
give them,
And,
give them
you
a
can also tell
15%
them,
discount or
by
something when you get out there, because if you pre-book, during the summer, as long as it's built into your pricing, you're going to be fine.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
give them something for that pre-booking. If you pre-book your appointment when we come out, we're gonna give you,
Sure.
$50 off for the repair or something. Which, like I said, we all know how that works. You're just gonna add $50, take $50 off. We all know how that works. But it's all trying to make the customer feel warm and fuzzy inside, like they're getting a deal.
No, and
You're
I
not
would
getting
add
over on
something.
them.
I would let them
And
know that, you know, this is non-refundable. I just want to make sure you understand that. It's just so our schedule doesn't get messed up. So because we have a lot of other customers that are just like you right now that are really hot in their homes, and this keeps our schedule straight. So I just want to be clear that, just let them know. I don't think people would have a problem with it, especially if they called another company and that company told them it's going to be 10 days before we can get there. Because we've had summers here, and you guys have probably had summers there, where there's been companies, like I went to a call 2 years ago, and the dude had a maintenance agreement with the big company in the big city next to me. He had a maintenance agreement, and they were 2 weeks away from getting to him. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had that. We have never been 2 weeks out, but I've heard the same thing. And to be honest, we've won some customers over like that by getting our
Yes.
opportunity to get our foot in the door. And now they've became our customer. We used to do something where I would try to see, we don't charge that much for our service contracts anyway compared to people in our area. Granted, we don't give a bunch of free stuff either, but we thought about trying to do some like buyout program. Be like, hey, you have a active service contract with them that costs such and such a dollars. Well, hey, I'll give you a half. I'll finish out the rest of the year. I'll give you one of our service contracts, and you can go from there. Granted, you didn't make any money off of it, but it's giving you more opportunities to get in the door. And now they're your customer, not their customer, and it's your job to keep them.
Yeah, maybe prorate
we
it.
didn't know
Like
how
if they
we
bought
felt.
a 1 year agreement, and okay, Mrs. Smith, when did you buy it? Oh, let me go get it. They get it, and they bought it in July, and here it is. Whatever. If it's August, then chances are they're not doing a very good job. But let's say it's November. They bought it in July. It's November. Okay, we'll take the July, August, September, October, November. So take 4 months. So now you got 8 months, and whatever they charged for it, maybe take that off of your price. Prorate it. That's a good idea. I like that. That's just something that doesn't happen very often.
That's
It just doesn't happen very often.
Noggin.
Typically, a company who they're going to honor their maintenance agreement customers first, right? So it's still something to think about. Mm-hmm.
Well, normally the only time it happens is, like you just said, in the summertime when they're booked out and they're just, maybe these people aren't knowing how to handle their phones, or maybe they have a big enough service contracts that maybe that's not 2 weeks, but it's not quick enough for the customer. So they make another call, and then, hey, you get your opportunity to get in there. You better make the best of it. There's only so many customers in a certain area. And if somebody else got some and you have the opportunity to now make one of them your customer, then you better do what the fuck you got to do.
I like the idea of just
a
dollar amount. So if you guys just came to we have a $50 buyout, just call it a dollar amount. And they would probably go for that.
That's true.
So, okay. And just like we talked about earlier, how you got to sometimes add that into the price, because you can't just give all the money away through discounts and coupons, because you're giving away your margin, and then you're unsuccessful. So you have to be careful with that and make sure the pricing is structured properly to handle that. But up it's just one of those things. If you find that it happens often, then up your service agreement price by $50. You could do that anyways. Anybody could do that and say, we have a special this month. It's normally $250. Now it's $199. Do you want to take advantage this month and get your maintenance agreement? I mean, it's a free country, I guess. So, this is what businesses do, especially big businesses. Like, if you ever go to Bed Bath & Beyond and you give them your freaking email, and now you're getting Bed Bath & Beyond emails every flipping day with the new special. Like, for one, they probably know the statistics because they track it. When you go back to the store, you're buying more than just the one thing that you got a coupon for. And it's the same with your business too. the more you track, the better you can measure your results. So it's just, which is always a tough thing to do. So, man, we've had some deep subjects on this freaking podcast. This is gold. Like, we're giving away the goods here.
Hey, it's good, man. That's what our loyal listeners get. They get the stuff that tinkers around in both of our brains. It's only here on the podcast. So if you don't listen, eat a ding dong, because you're not going to get it, because we're not going to say this anywhere else. But we are getting a little long, so we're going to have to bing, bing, cut this off a little bit. And you need to get home because it is Mrs. McKay's birthday tonight.
I do.
You need to get home.
So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Greatly appreciate all the support. I'm liking the videos. God, we didn't even get to talk about the Bruno company. Do you see that story on the Bruno company? We won't get into that. Maybe next podcast. I mean, I'm really curious to see how this all plays out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. I did see it. There's some things that the thing I had written down for my segment I didn't even do.
Okay,
so
next week we got a killer episode for you, so don't miss it. But guys, if you want to learn more about business and some of these strategies that I'm talking about, please visit my website, www.hvacserviceready.com. There's a technicians membership program, and then there is a service business owners program. They're extremely cheap, monthly fees, first 7 days free. You can cancel anytime. Go in there and educate yourself. I made it extremely cheap because I just want to help people move the needle in their business and get to a better place. And so, but thank you guys so much for listening. We just can't thank you enough. I'm so glad to be back in a regular routine here. And like Gil said, got to get home to the missus. So I hope you have a great day. It'll be Monday morning when you're listening to this. Have a killer week and crush it and go make some money.
Yeah, guys, we thank you guys as always. We know that this podcast would not be possible without you guys, our loyal listeners. So, we appreciate, we love you guys more than, you'll ever know. You guys know, the loyal listeners, where we're at, all the places that we're at, how to download the podcast. Please do that. Give it a download, give it a share, tell people about it, pass it on to somebody else who might like it so we can help grow this thing, grow HVAC Uncensored Nation. The more we do that, the better it is for everybody. I want to ask everybody a favor I would love for you guys to do. If you guys could do us a favor and go over to Yellow Jacket's Facebook page. You either put in a Yellow Jacket or Richie Engineering. I think it comes up to the same Facebook page. And I would like you guys just to write just a little bit, or you can even just hashtag Yellow Jacket, hashtag HVAC Uncensored Podcast. Something that has Yellow Jacket and our podcast together, just to show that relationship, because we love those guys over there. They've been great to us since we started this podcast, and we just want to kind of share it to them. And
hey, Gil, it's listed as Richie Yellow Jacket.
Okay. So it is Yellow Jacket, obviously, is the Richie Engineering Company. So the Facebook page is going to be Richie Engineering. So just go over there. And like I said, just leave a nice little comment and say that the HVAC Uncensored podcast sent you. We would greatly appreciate that. And I'll go through and check it. And if enough guys go over there and do it, we'll try to give back to you guys and say thank you. Other than that, man, it's a new year, guys. We have some new things, some new concepts for the podcast. Me and Kelly we're looking to blow the fucking socks off of 2019. And we think it's going to be great. And we want to take you guys along for it. So as always, guys, like I said, we love you. We appreciate each and every one of you fucking guys. We really, really do. Guys, remember, stay safe. Always make it home the same way you left, and always set yourself apart. Do the little things the next guy's not doing. That's what we talk about on this podcast. Being different, setting yourself apart. All right? Until next week, we love you fuckers, and I'll talk at you later. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.